This is your Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend 2026 course breakdown. Let's get into it. RunDisney just gave us our course maps for the 2026 Walt Disney Marathon Weekend races. I'm here to show you what to expect and how to get the most out of your race. Similar to last year, race time for the marathon is 4:30, so 30 minutes earlier than the rest of the races if you are running the Dopey Challenge. All those races start at 5 a.m. This course is pretty similar to last year's marathon weekend course, which means we have an awesome point of view video with almost 2 hours of course footage, which you will also be seeing this as I break it down for you. Start is a pretty similar setup to what we've seen. You will be starting in the Epcot parking lot, making that quick left, and then you'll be making that wide right to get onto Epcot Center Drive. Once you get onto Epcot Center Drive, that is kind of your first point where the course will spread out a little bit. You usually have a couple lanes to spread out. Typically, you will have some character stops pretty early in there, sometimes even as early as a quarter or half a mile in on this. But you will be following this road and veering off towards the entrance to Epcot, where you will be swinging right and heading right into Epcot. You're going to be entering the park right about mile 2 of the race, doing a whole loop around World Showcase. You'll get to hit around all of the countries there, and then you are going to be swinging left by the festival booths and the restrooms on the other side past Canada, where you'll be heading up towards World Nature, where the land and living with the seas is. Once you go through this section, you will be exiting the park. This next part will look similar to the end of the Walt Disney World or Princess Half Marathon, but backwards, because you're going to be exiting out the Epcot parking lot and going up over the overpass and making a sharp left turn back onto Epcot Center Drive, where you'll be heading towards World Drive, and we will be going down the overpass that we very typically go up in races, and you will be making your way towards Magic Kingdom. You'll have about a mile on World Drive, should be pretty open and have a lot of space for you to spread out there as well. And then you will be veering off left, heading towards the Car Care Center. You'll have the Magic Kingdom parking lot on your right-hand side, and you'll be heading over towards the Grand Floridian section. This will take about another 2 miles. You hit Grand Floridian right after mile 8. I will say, last year, there was a lot of construction going on in this area, and it was a little bit dark. It was also wet and rainy for some of those races, so this section was tight and not very fun, to be honest. We just drove through this section today. It is still a construction zone, so definitely pack your patience here. It will likely not be the most exciting part of the race and could potentially be a little bit frustrating. Now, after you hit mile 8, you will hit one of my favorite parts of this race, going in towards Grand Floridian, and you'll be going around Seven Seas Lagoon towards Magic Kingdom. I will note though, after you get through Grand Floridian and get onto the walking path from Grand Flo to Magic Kingdom, there is a sharp left turn, and it's a little bit downhill, so just be careful. Also, that path is not very wide. It does tend to be a choke point. In the past, they have also had the electrical water pageant out, which has been a highlight of the race, but a lot of people stop and want to take pictures, and it's already a pretty narrow section of the course, so just be prepared. That tends to be a bottleneck section on this course. But making that turn out onto Seven Seas Lagoon and seeing the water pageant is a highlight of the race for me for sure. But we get into one of the most exciting parts, entering Magic Kingdom. You enter Magic Kingdom right before mile 9. You hit mile 9 right on Main Street as you enter the park. Of course, running down Main Street, one of the most iconic moments, my favorite part of pretty much any RunDisney race. There is crowds there cheering, music going, and it is just a lot of fun, a lot of hype, and a lot of excitement. From here, you actually get one of your best Magic Kingdom segments with the marathon, because you cut left and you're going through Adventureland. You basically go all the way through Adventureland, past Jungle Cruise, past Pirates, up around by Tiana's. You'll be going along the path of Frontierland, over near Haunted Mansion, and then up through Fantasyland, and you will be swinging around by Philhar and coming through the castle. Once you go through the castle, you go down through that left side. That is where you can also get your castle pics. There'll be photo pass coming and getting you running through the castle or out in front of the castle, and then you can also stop and get your pictures in front of the castle. Usually there is a really good setup with the photo pass to keep you moving and keep that flow going, which is pretty awesome. From there, you cut left, and instead of going through Tomorrowland, you'll actually be cutting back to Fantasyland again. Going back past the teacups, basically swinging all the way around Seven Dwarfs Mine Train to go back through Casey's Circus. And then from here, you enter that back path. You're gonna hit mile 10 back here, and you'll be taking that little walking path that takes you all the way up through Tron and Tomorrowland. This is another really cool part, just getting to go through Tron, and then that is all nice and lit up. There's usually a good photo spot as well, taking you as you're moving through the course. Another section though that could potentially be pretty tight. From here, you'll pass by Space Mountain, and you do just a little bit through Tomorrowland, and you are exiting the park. From here, you'll be exiting Magic Kingdom, and you're gonna have a long bit until you are gonna hit your next park segment here. You will hit mile 11 right past the Contemporary there, kind of around where you go under the water there. And from here, you make your way to the TTC, the Ticket and Transportation Center. This section is a little bit of a slog because there's a little bit of winding around in this section. And because we lost a little bit of mileage in Animal Kingdom, this was where some of that mileage was added back in. Actually going through the TTC is a pretty cool experience because there's usually a good crowd there right where the monorail switches are. There'll be people cheering. That's always pretty fun and exciting. And typically right before that, you will have a water kind of aid stop as well. And you'll be hitting mile 12 right in the middle of the Magic Kingdom parking lot. Again, this has got a lot of zigs and zags. Kind of make a hard right, then a hard left, and you're doing some little squares basically through the Magic Kingdom parking lot. Again, one of the differences, last year we did basically do a big square. This year it is a little more squiggly, again, to make up for that Animal Kingdom park time that we lost. All that said, you hit mile 12 and mile 13 in the Magic Kingdom parking lot. Then from there, you'll be going under the bridge where you can see runners passing over right at mile 7, making their way towards Magic Kingdom. I always love where you have some pass by as well. You can holler and cheer for other runners on their journey, which is exciting. And you will be heading on to the Bear Island path. This path was actually pretty exciting last year. This was the Star Wars themed section of the race. They had a lot of really cool glowing elements. You'll hit that right about mile 14 once you kind of make your way through the highway back into that section. For some people, it will be dark. I am hoping that they keep up some of those elements or themes that they did last year. Even if it's not Star Wars, we've seen from other races, they can do some really cool stuff in this section. So definitely some cool potential through this section, especially since it is kind of a lot of woods and road, and that's really about all there is. But typically there's a lot of characters back here too. Usually a character like almost every half a mile, if not more. But you are on this road for about 2 miles, mile 14, 15, and then back to 16 is where you're going to cross and basically make your transition into the Animal Kingdom section of the course. This is another section that I actually personally really like. You go by the greenhouses, and then you see a lot of backstage Animal Kingdom. You see the houses where the animals stay at night. You pass the elephant enclosure, the rhinos, just a lot of backstage stuff that you can see back there, which I think makes it pretty entertaining. Also as well, this is a part where it's a 2-lane road and you have the people coming in to go to Animal Kingdom and the people coming out. So I always love that kind of back and forth kinetic motion that you get. Again, you can cheer for the runners and say hi to people that you might know on the course there. Always makes it a very fun and exciting section. But you'll follow this road to mile 17. You will enter Animal Kingdom just after mile 17. We have a pretty quick section of Animal Kingdom. I want to say it's gonna be about half a mile or so that you're in Animal Kingdom. You'll be entering back by Africa, and then you swing left and basically head straight towards Asia. You do still go by Expedition Everest, so if the ride is operating at the time you're passing, odds are you will be able to ride Everest. Usually this is your best chance to ride an attraction during the marathon, and it's probably the most popular attraction to ride during the marathon. But this is where we probably see the biggest change of the course compared to last year, because Dino Land is unfortunately closed and being transformed into the Central America section. You will be exiting Animal Kingdom right after the Seas instead of going around Dino Land like we used to. Again, that's where we lost a little bit of distance in this park. So you pretty much do a quick little side exit after passing Nemo, and you will be heading around the backside of Animal Kingdom. You'll see the back of Everest, which is kind of interesting. Again, a lot of like kind of fun backstage stuff. There's a lot of stuff behind Animal Kingdom that kind of just exists and sits back there. Right behind Animal Kingdom, you will hit mile 18. From here, it is the trek towards Blizzard Beach and the Blizzard Beach parking lot loop that we all know and love very much. At about 18 and a half through a little past 19, you do again hit that section where you have the back and forth with the runners again coming into Animal Kingdom, and you will be exiting the Animal Kingdom area. So still a pretty fun and exciting part. But then you do make that right onto Western Way. I think this section of the course is the biggest like slog for me. It is usually the least interesting. If you're catching it at the wrong time, the sun is also usually right in your eyes because you are heading right in that direction there. If you know your timing of where you're gonna be at about that mile 20 point, definitely consider sunglasses. It is a slight uphill for about a mile and a half to 2 miles, but because you're 20 miles into the race at this point, you feel it. And again, this section is almost 2 miles long. You will take it just past mile 20 and you will make that right after Coronado Resort to head towards Blizzard Beach, and you'll hit 21 right after you make that turn. From here, you have that Blizzard Beach loop. You actually run a little bit past Blizzard Beach, usually about to the mini golf course. You'll turn around. Typically, there's a character there kind of by the mini golf sign, and then you will be cutting and doing that loop into Blizzard Beach. You do not actually run Blizzard Beach. Basically, the parking lot is set up kind of as a big aid station. So there's a food stop in there, there's a water stop in there. You know, it is kind of, but it's really not overly exciting. We did see at Wine and Dine when we ran this section, they did add like some roller skating entertainment, which I thought added some good energy to the area. Another section though where you will get to pass by runners coming in and out of that area. Again, something that just adds some additional kinetic energy to that part of the race. But good news, you hit mile 22 in that Blizzard Beach parking lot, and you only have 4.2 miles to go. Mile 22 to 23 is really just running up the road to get to Hollywood Studios, and even just a little bit past that to make the right into the back entrance of Hollywood Studios. But once you hit 23, again, 3 miles to go. This is where a lot of the fun begins because you are pretty much on an on-stage area once you get into Hollywood Studios, because it's all kind of the walking paths from there. So a lot of fun, and you get 2 more parks after this. Hollywood Studios will be your shortest section. You will run up the hill from the backstage section up to the Fantasmic Theater. You go down and kind of wind where that queue is, past Tower of Terror, and then you do a very quick down Sunset Boulevard and out to the left real quick. You are not in the park very long. It's literally a quick in and out. Typically that section up by Fantasmic Theater is where there's some sort of chocolate, or last year it was the Bodoku chocolate. But you make that quick exit and you're kind of coming out like the Fantasmic second exit and out by the front of Hollywood Studios. Another part though with a lot of good energy, because typically there are people getting to the park at that point, or the park is already open. So there's people out there cheering, or people just out there to spectate the marathon. It is a pretty easy section to get to if you want to spectate. And you'll hit mile 24 kind of right at the end of the Hollywood Studios parking lot. You're gonna take the walking path that will lead you to Boardwalk and then to Epcot. Another section that could potentially be a little bit tighter. Now at this point you do have 24 plus miles to spread out a little bit, but still pretty much a single lane type of section, so it could potentially be a little bit tighter. But if it is good conditions, usually it is a very pretty section along the water there, and then you are going through to the boardwalk section. You do that loop around the boardwalk side. You don't do any of the yacht club or beach club, and you are gonna hit mile 25 right on the other side of the boardwalk there, and you are doing your final mile basically through Epcot and then out the back entrance. Your final mile through Epcot, you will be going through the service side, so you'll be cutting around the Skyliner tram, and you'll be coming in right by the UK pavilion, and you kind of do a quick jaunt across Epcot. You kind of finish a little bit of that World Showcase loop that you didn't do earlier, and you're coming up right towards the center to Spaceship Earth. So you get that kind of iconic running towards Spaceship Earth. Typically there's a Spaceship Earth type of photo stop in there as well. And then you will be cutting that left by Connections to be doing the exit around Guardians. So what this means is you're going towards Mission Space. You'll cut around Mission Space by Test Track, and then that is your final park segment. You'll have roughly about half a mile left at this point. It is really just backstage section. It's not super exciting until you're making that turn for the finish. You will, once you're running by the Guardians housing building, typically the choir is there doing their thing, hyping you up, and you'll be making that final hard right turn around into the finish queue. You'll also hit mile 26 right at that choir point there. And again, you just have that point 2, you make that turn, it's a straight shot right into the finish, and you have completed your 2026 Walt Disney World Marathon. Now on the Expo guide, they do point out some of the approved cheering locations. This includes, of course, the start, Grand Floridian Resort area. There is a section for cheering right before you get onto Seven Seas Lagoon. Mile 9, Main Street on Magic Kingdom. Again, one of the most hyped parts of the races. Cheering there is fun, running through there is fun. One of the best parts of the race. 11.5, the Ticket and Transportation Center, another one that is pretty easy to get to as well. You can view at Animal Kingdom if the park is open and you have a ticket, but you cannot just go in and spectate for free. Hollywood Studios, you can spectate in the park, again, if you have a valid ticket and the park is open, or you can very easily spectate from outside the park in that parking lot area, which is where plenty of people will choose to spectate from. And of course, that final stretch through Epcot, if the park is open and you have valid theme park tickets, you can cheer in there. Another awesome place. I have gone in there to watch people's kind of final legs of marathons. It will typically be a little bit less crowded than the actual finish line, but if you don't have a park ticket, finish line section will be your best place to spectate your friends and family members finishing their marathon. And again, if you want to see even more of the course, all of the video that you just watched is from last year's marathon or additional races that have coinciding segments of the race. But my full marathon POV from last year, it's almost 2 hours long, gets you a lot of course, and is very, very similar to this course. And finally, if you got value out of this and the content we create, consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/mousegen. One tier helps support what we do here and helps us creating all of this content, all of this Run Disney content that we love to produce. But if you're running the marathon, dopey, goofy challenge, regardless, good luck, have a blast this weekend. Come say hi if you see us. Let us know in the comments what you're running, what questions you have, and how we can help. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all of that fun YouTubey stuff, and we'll see you at Marathon Weekend. Bye guys.